Now to our other big story, the summit here in Paris tomorrow. It was organized by French President Emmanuel Macron to focus on climate change following President Trump's decision to pull out the U.S. out of the 2015 Paris Accord, which set goals for reducing greenhouse gas emissions. We had an extended conversation with Macron today on a number of issues, including terrorism, the future of Jerusalem, and more. But we begin with this summit called One Planet. How much has the withdrawal affected your efforts?
I think the withdrawal, to be totally fair with you, created a huge momentum to me to create a counter momentum.
You say you're in better shape now because of this withdrawal? That the president did you a favor?
I think today we have a momentum because I think we have two phenomena. The withdrawal of the US, which for me is a mistake, but it creates an impulse for a lot of others to say, okay, we have to react and do something because it's impossible to leave the floor to a sort of dismantling of the Paris Agreement. Second, a deep wake-up call for the private sectors and some others to say, wow, so we have to react. If we decide not to move and not to change our way to produce, to invest, to behave, we will be responsible for billions of victims. I don't want to be a leader in such a situation. So let's act right now.
He says he's open to renegotiation.
You know, you have more than 180 countries as negotiators. I'm not ready to renegotiate with so many people, I'm sorry, around the table. The US did sign the Paris Agreement. It's extremely aggressive to decide on its own, just to leave. And no way to push the others to renegotiate because one decided to leave the floor. I'm sorry to say that. It doesn't fly.
You think he'll change his mind?
Yes. I mean, I'm not ready to renegotiate, but I'm ready to welcome him if he decides to come back.
How often do you speak to President Trump?
Look, as often as we need. For instance, during the past weeks, we had probably 3 to 4 phone calls together. It's very easy. As soon as he asks for a call, I call him back, and exactly the same on his side. We have a very fluent and open discussion.
And you would characterize that relationship as friendly?
Yes, very direct.
You talked about Jerusalem.
Yes, exactly.
Before?
Yes.
And he said what?
He said that probably he will announce the fact that he wanted to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
And you told him what?
I told him I thought it was a mistake, and that such a unilateral decision is not compliant with our international discussions and our international rules, and will not facilitate a peace process.
Was that a calm conversation? Was that a confrontational conversation?
I think it's always an open and direct discussion. You can agree to disagree, which is the case between us on some issues. I mean, he told me the rationale of his decision. I told him that for me it's not the right announcement, but at the end of the day, you decide for your own. And he decided for the US, I decided for France, which is normal.
In your estimation, does it jeopardize the peace process?
So my first obsession, I would say, and my first concern is to preserve peace and calm in the whole region. Second, I think we have to discuss with all the parties and try to find a way out. But obviously, the reaction of the Palestinians will not be very positive. They are not in the good mood to progress towards any peace process.
The smaller scale attacks, like the one that happened in New York City today, they've happened in France as well. How do you prevent those?
You prevent them by increasing your intelligence. You can prevent them if we are much more aggressive, I would say, in order to reduce the propaganda of the jihadists and the terrorists on the net. On top of that, if you want to prevent this kind of behavior, you have as well to better take care of your people and help them to find a place in your society.
Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Macron told us his first focus is on security. There will be much more of our interview with Emmanuel Macron tomorrow on CBS This Morning, on our streaming news service, CBSN, and at cbsnews.com.